welcome to the third episode of Road to Runeterra Mastery. Here I go over the best way to learn is through your mistakes, and I got a lot of them I made today, so let's crack into them. Alright, so this first one, I've got a match here. I'm playing against Fiora Shen, and I have 3 units out here, as you can see, and I'm debating on whether to attack, because if I attack with Elise, then this River Shaper is going to get a free kill on the spider. And I ultimately decide it's not worth it to do that. And you see the River Shaper survived anyway, but this was a tough call. I'm not sure if this was the wrong call, but the way it ended up in this game is that I ended up losing because I didn't get enough Nexus damage. And I have to say, I do think it was worth it, because to give some context, I played a Go Hard earlier and it was nobified. So my plan of getting the Go Hards, after your first Go Hard gets nobified, it's unlikely, especially if you don't have a Zap in hand already, it's a little unlikely you're going to be able to get the Go Hard train rolling. And so in this case, I really do feel like I needed to get more damage on his Nexus. And so I really, like, that extra 2 damage actually in the end of this game did end up mattering, especially because this deck, it does run Spirit's Refuge, so it does have a potential life gain. But that's probably only a one of, and some versions don't even run that. And so it's not really worth, so in all likelihood, he's not going to have a way to regain any health. And it's literally, every point of Nexus that I take down is, permanent. And so for that reason, I would have been much better off attacking with Elise on that turn. So on this one, I make a mistake here of... Basically, the mistake here was not keeping mana open for Ruination, because I was thinking that the mistake I made was I'm playing against an Elise burn deck, Elise Spider's Burn. It's literally just if you're not familiar with the deck, the deck is literally just trying to do as much damage. It has a bunch of cheap creatures and burn spells, and that's the whole thing of the deck. And so I was thinking about I was worried about him getting too many. I was worried about taking too much damage, because I was thinking I wouldn't want to Ruinate, because I already had a big enough board and I could block a lot of things. So I was just thinking I wouldn't need to Ruinate. But the reason he actually ended up winning is because, if you'll see here, he actually ends up playing. I went back a little too far, but as you can see, I have a pretty nice board, and I also have. I have another Butcher and I have a Salvage in hand. So I was like, I'm going to be able to draw more units. I don't need to Ruinate, because I'm just going to have a full board and I'm going to be able to block. But the problem is that he actually could play, my board can't block Fearsome units. And so he plays 2 more Fearsome units and I can't block them and I lose here. So this was a very unfortunate situation where I forgot that Lucian was going to level literally during the attack here. So I didn't block him. And, as you can see, I'm obviously ended up taking a shit ton of damage, because he was going to level no matter what, because he has 4 Ephemerals attacking first. Now, I could have stopped that with the Glimpse. That would have stopped it, but he obviously was able to cancel it out there. And the main issue here was that I just wasn't even aware. I wasn't even considering the fact that I would have to block Lucian because he could level. It would have been way smarter to actually block that, because I literally took 8 damage, and now I'm in a pretty bad situation. This here is a turn where I actually leveled TF earlier in the turn. It's been quite a long turn, because as you know, leveling TF, and then you play all the cards blue, red, and green. I kind of forgot exactly, I forgot that it was my attack turn. I forgot that I had actually attacked into the turn. So I actually developed here, even though he has enough mana for Ruination on the next turn, because I actually thought it was going to be my attack turn, and I was thinking about doing an open attack. It's just a simple case of, it happens to you sometimes when you have a really long turn, you're doing a lot of things, and maybe you open attacked. Or at least it happens to me a lot. And I just forget that it was I forget that, I attacked that turn. That it's not going to be because it feels like since it's been so long that, the attack turn should be coming back to me, because it feels like it's been a long time since I've attacked. But it's actually still my turn. I've just done a lot of things. So that's important to keep in mind. At this point, the mistake I made here was that I forgot that because Zed has Overwhelm, that he actually is still dealing damage to the Nexus, and he will level. I wasn't prepared for this. If I had been prepared for this, I would have probably... I would have still been in a tough spot, but I think I actually would have had mana to Ruinate this turn, and then I could have Vengeance another turn, because the thing is, like, I kind of have to kill Zed at this point because Zed is threatening lethal. So I pretty much have to try his best to kill Zed, but I didn't do that because I forgot that Zed with Overwhelm is still actually counting toward his level up because he is still doing damage to the Nexus. This here is a mistake. I don't know really what I was thinking here. I decided to attack into this because my thought process was that he's kind of like, he wasn't going to block because I could have go hard and he doesn't want to risk killing his unit to go hard. But that was pretty dumb because as you can see here, this basically just gives him, he has a lot of tools, a lot of combat tricks he can use. He has Troll Chan, he has Brittle Steel. So this basically let him trade with my units for free. So now on this turn, he ends up getting a lot of damage on me because I just don't have any units to block his units anymore. The mistake I made on this turn is that I glimpsed here because he's going to kill my Zap, so I thought, shit, I might as well glimpse. But the problem is I'm actually drawing a full hand, so now I have 10 cards and I have no mana left to play any of them. And the problem is I still need to draw go hards, but my next card is literally just going to get cut because I can't have more than 10 cards in my hand. It's a mistake that it's kind of easy to make in this go hard deck where you're drawing a lot. Sometimes you just kind of, obviously, like, the instinct is just to glimpse there because, it's a good glimpse. I'm going to be able to get it off, but I'm actually going to draw more cards than I can have in my hand. And so it's important to keep track of the amount of cards you have in your hand. This was a really, really freaking tragic loss here. So I came a little too late in the video, but I'll try and back up here a little bit. But so I vengeance this Ledros because I forgot that he is on Pack Your Bags at this moment. I could have played around this it's going to be my action now. So I could have played a burst speed spell into Doom Beast, and I would have put myself out of Pack Your Bags range. And I would have had 2 blockers for the Ledros, and I could have won next turn. Because I think I'm close to, he only has 4 Nexus health. I think I might have been on Pack Your Bags as well. But I lose immediately because he's already on Pack Your Bags, and I let myself go, I'm vulnerable to a Pack Your Bags. I'm under 5 Nexus health, and I have no healing, like, at burst speed. Or fast speed. So, I just kind of threw the game there, but I literally just forgot that he had Pack Your Bags right there. So this is an interesting one. I'm still not sure if this was the right play, but I decide not to attack the Fleet Feather Tracker this turn because I have a Vile Feast, and I'm thinking I can kill it next turn. And I did, and it worked out for me. So I didn't have to trade my Butcher with it. But the problem is he could have had Bright Steel Protector. And if he Bright Steel Protectored into the bird, that would have been a problem for me, but I think it would have still been, I don't know, I think it actually still might have been better because I could have still Vile Feasted the bird, and I could have still blocked the protector with the spider that would have come off of the Vile Feast. So I actually think that might have been a correct play, but it was pretty close. Definitely one that takes some thinking through. So here, as you can see, I'm getting ready to play Twisted Fate red card. I'm going to kill as Quinn, and the mistake I make after playing this is that after I play it, God fucking damn it. So here I have, he has a Quinn on with 1 health, and I'm getting ready to play a Twisted Fate. I'm going to red card. And the mistake I make here after I play this is he doesn't play anything else. And so his MF is at 2 health. And I decide still not to attack with TF, which is, because my reasoning is, obviously if he has a Riposte or if he has a Sharp Sight, he's going to be able to block and kill my TF. But the reality of the fact is, if he had one of those, he would have played it earlier to save his Quinn. So it's especially if he already has two cards in his hand, and so I don't take the attack there, which is my mistake because it's that's 2 damage I could have got on his Nexus that I wouldn't otherwise have, or a killed MF if he decided to block with it, which would be very valuable. And then I also make another mistake here. basically by vengeancing, literally right after this, I make another mistake here, by vengeancing this MF, because the problem here is this MF isn't necessarily, I mean, this was a scout attack, so he still has mana to play something else and attack, which he plays a Sithri there, and he has lethal. The MF wasn't getting ready to level. It didn't have lethal, so it wasn't worth me using the Vengeance on it, because it's still pretty good odds that he could have something like a Sithria or a big unit that could attack again and just wipe out my Nexus if I don't have anything to block, which I didn't have anything to block. So that was my mistake there. So this right here is a pretty key play. I made a pretty good play here, but it was pretty important. So to give some context, this is against a Leona Ace-Hole deck, and he's actually played Out of the Way already. It's a kind of a weird deck, weird version of the deck anyway. But he actually played the lifesteal thing last turn, and I killed it with a Vengeance. And so yeah, the smart play here was I considered not developing here, because if he had played the lifesteal thing, I would have kind of been screwed here, because I mean I wouldn't have been able to attack because I wouldn't want to get the lifesteal. But I had to step back and think about the bigger picture of the game. And the truth is that, I mean, this deck, after he's already played it Out of the Way, like, everything he plays is just going to get more valuable and more valuable as the game goes on. It's going to be harder and harder to control the board against this deck, because he's going to be summoning strong things, and any buffs they get are going to be permanent. And the longer the game goes on, the more likely he is to draw another one of those lifesteal Daybreak cards. I forget what it's called. So the odds of that just keep going up. But right now, the important thing is he doesn't have a lot of a board, and I do have a board. And I had 2 units I could play. I had a Lease and a Croaker. So I made the decision to develop into that attack. And it actually ended up getting an extra point of damage, which came very much in handy, because even though he had Leona, I was still able to get an extra point of damage than I would have if I had just open attacked. And so that was my decision making there. It was, even though it was possible for him to punish that developing by playing something, it was worth the risk, because against this kind of deck, I really need to get damage in now, because it's going to be very hard for me to do so later. So this right here was pretty sad. This was just a mistake in order. I didn't realize. So I Vile Feast this Draven, right? And my TF has already played 2 cards this turn. It's leveled. And so it's going to play the gold card. But what I didn't realize is the gold card actually hits before the Vile Feast. So I didn't get the drain off. And that actually ended up costing me the game here, because I needed that drain. It actually ended up saving me from Fervor next turn. Which, speaking of this, I actually screwed up here, because I made another mistake right here, right on the next play. Excuse my internet was like screwing up here. That's why the video is so choppy here. But the mistake here was I actually go under mana for Vengeance. And I forget that, because I'm worried about Decimate, right? Because, I mean, obviously he can kill me with a Decimate. But the real way the other way he can kill me that I forgot about is with a Fervor. And he plays the Fervor here, and since I'm under mana for Vengeance, I can't stop the Fervor, and so I lose the game. And I otherwise would have won, because he's pretty much out of cards. He has nothing left to play. If I hadn't made this mistake, if I hadn't gone under mana for Vengeance, I would have won the game there. This here is a simple mistake. I made it without thinking. I used the Go Hard on the Butcher on turn 1 before it attacks, which it's not necessarily going to cost me the game, but it's a misplay because I missed out on the extra point of health. I should have waited until it attacked and then played Go Hard, because then I would have gotten an extra point of health back. This was a play here. I was thinking about what I needed to Vengeance here, and I don't really know what I was thinking at the time. I was thinking it would be more valuable for me to destroy the Funsmith, because it has more effect overall, because it's empowering everything else that's causing damage. But the real thing I was missing here is that if I don't kill this MF, it is going to wipe out my entire board if I block this turn. And basically, there was no way for me to recover from this, because even if killing the venging the Funsmith probably did cause me less damage overall in this turn, but I'm in a position where I can't win the game because my board is completely gone. There's no way for me to rebuild it in this one turn in order to win this game. So I have no chance. So the correct move there would have been to Vengeance the MF. That's actually the last one of the day. I actually learned a lot from going back and looking at these, because there are a lot of these where I kind of knew I made a mistake somewhere, but like I wasn't sure. Especially this last one was a really good example because I at the time I really thought about it, and I thought that vengeancing the Funsmith was the right move because it was preventing the most amount of damage that turn. But I just didn't have the foresight to think about the fact that if I didn't vengeance the MF, my entire board's going to be wiped out, and I'm not going to be able to recover from that next turn. And so there's lots of little things like that where I just didn't think of it in the moment, but looking back on it, I wasn't sure like what I did wrong, but looking back on it, it helped me to learn, and I hope it helped you guys learn too. As always, let me know in the comments, any comments, suggestions, if you see a better play I could have made somewhere, have any kind of comments on the video, anything at all, leave them down in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys.